mind complex?
Senses,
Sense organs, okay. And he knows that what? He knows them as what? As body, mind complex. Like that, is that. That's what they are. And then the self is a self. That person knows of both. In Spanish we have, I don't know if it goes in English, but let me just say, the person, la persona que dice el pan, pan y el vino, vino, like that. The person can actually call things as they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. The person who knows things as they are, not as he wishes they were, but as they are. Mm-hmm. Look, remember we said there was two types of reality. Mm-hmm. Remember we talked about two realities? Mm-hmm. It's called Ishvara Shristi, creation. What is Ishvara Shristi? Shristi, is that what you say?
Yeah, Shristi is the creation.
Ishvara is the Lord's creation, isn't it? And can we call that the empirical world? Empirical world? This is the empirical world. Mm-hmm. Ishvara Shristi, that's the creation of God. Is that right? Now, that's the empirical world. And there is also another creation, which is what?
Your own.
That's right. This is Jiva Shristi, isn't it? Is that right? The creation that we create, that we make. Now, look at this. When the vritti, when the thought is, I am this body-mind complex. Okay? Now, then I'm not calling the karana as a karana, I'm calling the karana as a self. Is that right? I'm not calling the instruments as instruments, I'm calling the instruments as me. Now watch. At that moment, the sense of zeroness, the zeroness of emptiness is born. The sense of insufficiency is born. The sense of limitation is born. The sense of mortality is born at that moment. Mm-hmm. Is that true? Why? Because I am taking on the identity with that which is inert by nature, which is physically, emotionally, intellectually what? Limited. Mm-hmm. And which is ruled by time, space, and causation, and which is the mercy of the world, isn't it? I'm just a little creature here in the corner of the universe, which is invisible even. Once you go 2,000 feet, you don't see me anymore. So that's what happens. I become a zero. And now, this vritti of being zero is the one that I take into the world. Now watch. And then the entire world of names and forms, people and beings and objects, become my fix. You know fix? Mm-hmm. So I am very vulnerable. I need you to appreciate me. I need you to be there, or I need you to go. Either way. And if you're there and I don't want you to be go, then I'm miserable. I assert my misery. The moment I take on this vritti, that I am that limited guy, I immediately am going to hell. I create that is hell. As a matter of fact, that is sin in its proper context. Sin meaning an error in judgment. Taking myself something that I am not. Why? Because, look at this. I am taking the empirical world, not as it is, but based on what? On what I wish it was. For the sake of what? Of feeling someone. I have no self. And then I impute upon, now I do this, I impute upon the world something it does not have. Look at this one. God made the universe. If there is a God and there is a universe made by God. If the God made the universe. He didn't make things that contain happiness and things that contain unhappiness. He made things, period. Is that right? But then, do I see things as they are. I impute upon things, I impute upon objects, upon situations, and upon beings, that those contain happiness and these contain unhappiness. Is that true? Mm-hmm. And I go about the universe, and then, you know, the universe always starts here. This guy is a limitations. Mm-hmm. And I impute upon this guy all those limitations, and I impute into the world as something that will take care and get rid of these limitations by his presence or his absence. Is that right? It is now because I am not looking at Ishvara Shristi, you know, the creation of the Lord. I'm not looking at the empirical world as it is. Because I started taking my own physical, emotional, and intellectual personality as myself. And it being limited, immediately I seek for wholeness, because my nature is wholeness. Then, you know what? I'm trapped by you.
Yes.
If you call me one day, Louis, you know, I'm sorry we can't have the class tonight this week. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm miserable. And then, Louis, we can't have the class. Oh, wonderful. This is great. You know, yours is up and down, yo-yo.
Yo-yo.
And why? Because we took the world, which is me and you,
Superimposed.
you know, and superimposed upon me myself. Why? Because you're going to fulfill me.
You're small. It makes you happy.
You see the idea? Of course, having the class is an icing upon the cake,
Hey.
but it doesn't take away to give you anything. I got the cake, and I get the cake to eat it, and I still keep it. That's the whole idea. So it is because of the mistaken identity, taking the instruments as myself, immediately I take on the sense of limitation, and then I have to have you, either here or absent, either way, in order for me to be happy. Now I'm looking at the empirical world not as it is. I'm looking at the way I create, so I have my own Shristi, my own creation.
You are imputing. I have, when you ask the word what impute means, immediately something can, this is a very, very practical thing that all of us can understand. When I left PG&E, they give you life insurance. Mm. And every year, around W2 form, I get a W2. I am not an employee of PG&E. But they say, anything that they give the life insurance, but the premiums that they pay for your life insurance, which is more than 50,000, any premium that PG&E pays
income.
is my imputed income.
Right.
I've seen that. Yeah.
I get a W2 form.
That's right.
And I have to pay taxes.
That's right. And
So
you put upon you the liability for taxes because of what you're receiving. Yes. Very good. Excellent.
And I'm not even employed.
An employee anymore. So, Ishvara Shristi, Jiva Shristi, the person that is free is the one that calls Ishvara Shristi for what it is, not what it wants it to be. And the Ishvara Shristi, the empirical world, becomes the empirical world. That is why Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, you know, when Arjuna is really moping because he doesn't want to kill his, he doesn't want to go into war. Yeah. I said, listen, they're already dead. Based upon the laws of the empirical world, what they did, they just created their condition for themselves. They're dead already. Who kills anybody, my God? Who knows?
They said they are all killed.
They are already dead.
Yeah.
Already dead.
Yeah. All you're going to be doing, this empirical guy, which is these empirical weapons, is going to do the things that the empirical world requires because, but you're imputing upon the self, upon you, the bad guy, and so on. And say, well, you're not the bad, you're doing the job. Yeah. And they did it. Look at the people that are suffering. Oh, I want to go out there and meditate. This is foolish spirituality. To run away from the empirical world. Why? Because it doesn't suit me. It doesn't suit me means what? He said, if I do something to it I don't like, then there's something wrong with me. And I am imputing upon my body, mind, intellect complex, I am imputing, something that doesn't belong. The world is the world and that's the way it is. And then you deal with it the way it is. If you don't have to like it, but that's the way it is. Anyway, that's so nice. All right, very good. So the one who knows the karana as the karana, and the atma as the atma, is one who knows the truth of both. The one who knows the truth of atma, or the self, also knows the truth of anatma, the not self. And because of that, is a tattva. Okay? Then he says, this then is what is meant by guna vivaha. Vivaha. We said, remember we talked about tattva last time?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did we say what tattva was?
The truth.
The truth.
The essence.
The what?
Essence.
The essence.
Essence.
That's right. The truth of the essence. The dishtana, the basis. Knows the basis. Now, I'm going to just go back. Remember I sent you something, I don't know if you got it or not, about meditation, the Swami Dayananda.
Yeah, that booklet.
No, it was Dayananda's explanation about meditation and about the jiva and all that, and that there was one more situation to be created by the jiva in order to be able to own this up, so that the mind can own up the knowledge. And then he says the mind, he actually equated the mind, like they say he's like a monkey. I don't know if you remember that. I think I saw it, sent it to you. He's like a monkey. He says that this mind, it was a long article, so you might not have, because it was long.
When did you say that?
Last week.
I haven't opened yet.
So anyway, so the point is, he says, okay, so what happens is, these monkeys, they take one branch and they get a hold of it and they swing on it and they leave it and get another branch, and then they swing on it and get another branch, and so on. Remember that? I don't know, anyway. So the mind keeps going like that on the surface of thoughts.
Yeah.
And just like the monkey never gets to come to the ground. And this ground, I say, is like adhisthana, the basis of everything. So the person doesn't come to the ground, which means the silence. The nature of the self is silence. And then he says, you have to create a condition in which you teach the mind about this silence. The mind needs to learn about this silence. Right now, it's involved on going from branch to branch, thought by thought. So you have to create these similar thoughts. When you have thoughts that are one thought, it doesn't bring another thought. He also calls it noodle thinking. Okay? You have to create noodle thinking. You pick one and you pick up a whole bunch of them. So he says, whenever you have a thought, and thoughts usually bring another thought, and bring a thought, and another thought, and that goes into all kinds of, a whole network of thoughts, and goes on and on and on. He said, then you become like the monkey. You never hit ground. So then, what you do what he calls it also peanut thinking.
Yeah.
In which you pick up one thought, and then you pick up another thought, and there is a silent space between thoughts. Like he says, you can say Om, period. Om, period. Om, period. Now, the vritti has been so far the I am, the thought. Okay? And here you see that Om is there, and before Om, consciousness is silence. During Om, consciousness is there in the bottom. And when Om goes, consciousness, silence is there. Somehow we need to create a vritti, a practice or a situation in which in a political basis we actually bring the mind to learn